Well, good morning, friends, or maybe it's afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. But regardless, happy wherever you are. Thanks for joining us on Cabin Fever. I'm Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for Zambia. And right over here is my good friend, Ann Mincey. How lucky are we? So today we are going to be able to talk to Ann about some things that she's super passionate about and linked together perfectly. Because for many of you that join us every week, you know that I'm also a life coach, and I have a training behind me called Multiple Brain Integration Techniques. And a lot of the training for multiple brain integration techniques is based in Heartmath, which Ann here is what do they call it? A certified coach or?
Yeah, we are coaches, trainers, facilitators, yes. So put all in a bundle and we present the information to one-on-one counseling or to groups or conventions. I've done it for thousands of people.
Yeah, cool. So, Ann, I think many of the people that will tune in, because we have a large group of hairdressers, of course, because we're on the Zambia channel, most of them are going to know you more as kind of hairdressing royalty industry icon kind of a person. So give them a little other piece of who you are.
Well, I'm a preacher's kid. First of all, I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and I went to college in Oklahoma and found my way back home after an early divorce. And my dad always said, if the bottom drops out, you can always come home. So I went back to Dayton and found myself as a receptionist in a salon that carried Redken products. This is early in the 70s. And from that, my distributor sales consultant came in one day and said, there's a job at Redken and you'd be perfect for it. And it was a field representative position. So I got in my car in Dayton, Ohio, and drove all the way out to Los Angeles for my initial training, and then went on the road from there teaching nutrition to hairdressers, selling a vitamin line that we had at the time.
No kidding.
It really gave us the foundation for the kind of plant-based living that we're living now, and the whole foods and the kind of healthy lifestyle, both inner and outer, that we've adopted over the years. So I went from that field representative position through the education department all the way up to vice president of global communications for Redken. After our acquisition of L'Oreal, we moved from California to New York. I spent 17 years in New York City. And then in 2009, I retired from full-time corporate life. And so it's now been 11 years that I've still stayed in touch with the brand. I still go out and do programs in salon, symposium. But my main life right now is with my husband, who was a college classmate. His wife passed away of breast cancer. We reconnected, one of those reunion stories. And I came to live in Oregon, where I am now, next to Andrew. I'm right up the I-5. And we have a beautiful small we call it a cabin in the woods. He has 3 children, grown, and 2 of the children have children. So in 2011, I moved from Manhattan to a little town called Malala. I got married, became a mom, and got my Medicare card all in the same year. So it was a pretty big year. But the last 9 years have just been a joyful journey. And my life is now consumed with our family and our church. And I have a wonderful partner who's online right now, Mary Wilson, who she and I host Destination Rejuvenation, which is our retreat once a year in Laguna Beach, the first weekend of May. This year we had to postpone it, of course, but we'll be back next year. And we also do a training called I Am a Great Presenter. And you'll be seeing more information about that. We start with the presumption that we all have something to say. We all have a passion about something and a message we want to get out, but we just need a system to say it. And so Mary and I and her husband, Philip Wilson, which is one of the illuminaries of our wonderful industry, we will be teaching I Am a Great Presenter in August. So that sort of gives you a encapsulated thumbnail sketch of who I am, what I am at this point in my life. Very grateful to be here today, Andrew, with you and with all of those who are in this following. I'm truly honored to be here.
We're so happy to have you here. When I heard you speak during the socialathon, I just was like, oh my gosh, we have to have her on Cabin Fever. And then when we connected afterwards and you said that you had done stuff with Heartmath, then I was just like, oh yeah, done. We have to have you on the show. And
thank you.
I just want to quickly kind of shout out to our friends. Thanks for joining us on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Thanks, Mary Wilson, for joining us. Ann was just talking about her friend, Mary Wilson. Those of you that are on the Facebook page, you'll also see that Mary has put in the comments the links to the I Am a Great Presenter and the Destination Rejuvenation. So if you're interested in that, Mary Wilson has put that into the comments for you guys. So very cool. Looks like you have a neighbor. Diane Zeisler just said she's in Malala from our YouTube page.
We love Malala.
Yeah. We've got people from Romania. We've got people from all over the world right now.
Oh, that's
so
fabulous.
Welcome, guys.
Did you say Romania?
Yeah.
Andrew? Oh, our youngest son, Isaac, who is now 23, was a Romanian orphan and was adopted and brought back to the U.S. by my husband and his former wife. So we are very close and have been to Romania, and it's a beautiful country. We love the Romanian people.
That's cool. Well, how auspicious that we have someone joining us from all the way over there.
Great.
And India too. UK. Nice. So let's talk a bit about Heartmath and the principles of kind of this heart-based intelligence and resilience that we can have from the heart. Tell us about what that means.
Well, if I could just take a step back, in our training, we always say earn the right to train or teach in the subject that you're presenting. And I was very pleased that Heartmath actually presented me with this Heart Award. And it was the Lives Touched Award that I had been able to train 2,500 of the salon professionals within the Redken Network in this heart-based living. And so it is something that I have followed now since 2004, something I practice every day in my life, no matter where I am. And this is one principle I want you to take with you, is that you don't have to be laid out on a yoga mat in Shavasana before you can do this. You don't have to wait if you're in traffic or if you're getting ready for a meeting or just want to send a text message that is clear and logical and heartfelt. All of those moments throughout the day, we can take a moment. We can take this heart feeling, this heart breath, and then the heart feeling that goes along with it. And it syncs up our heart and our mind, which is what we're going to be talking about. So I just wanted you to know that through all of my experiences, I have seen in the moment people going from a stressed out, worried, angry, frustration, kind of highly charged emotional moment to a moment that is filled with peace and joy and love, acceptance, generosity, creativity, all the good stuff that those of us, especially in our industry, need and want. And so, Andrew, I thought it would just be wonderful for us to begin our session with the two-step process that if you don't hear anything else today or see anything else that convinces you, that you will at least take the practice of coherence with you. And so if you'll just get comfortable wherever you're seated, and we ask that you put your hands on your lap. You can have them with your palms up or your palms down, up for receiving, down for grounding, relaxing your shoulders. You can close your eyes, but if you just want to lower your eyelids and just tell your face to relax. And I'm going to ask you to focus on the area of your heart. You can even put your hand on your chest where your heart position is. And now if you will begin to just breathe more slowly and perhaps more deeply, as if you're breathing in and out of your heart. And now, coupled with your breath, will you make a sincere effort to find someone or something that you're grateful for, an experience you've had, an accomplishment you've made, a place you have been, nature that you enjoy, and grasp that feeling of gratitude for whatever comes up for you, and just sit in a shower of gratitude, in the pool of gratitude, until you next hear my voice. It will be just a few seconds. And now will you take one last of those slow and deep breaths, again, visualizing the breath coming in and out of your heart. If you did close your eyes, you may open them now, or if you lowered your lids. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Everyone's all, oh.
Exactly. Oh. What we just experienced together is called coherence. What you're feeling now is coherence. And what that is when the heart signals, the heart variability rate connects with the brain wave, and there's this clear path. If we think about the time that we're living in, and the stressors that have been around us, and even the words. I mean, if you repeated the words with me, like anger, distraught, disappointed, sad, disillusioned, unhappy, sorrow, rage, they're heavy feelings, and they affect the rhythm of the heart. When we think of words like love and appreciation and care, gratitude, dignity, honor, courage, those are all emotions of the heart. And so we have the choice in the moment. We have the choice in the moment to go from a heavy, emotionally negatively charged emotion to a positively charged emotion. And what happens in that split second is that the heart releases biochemicals, it releases biohormones, it releases a magnetic energetic field that scientists have actually been able to measure 3 feet out from your body. So when we have these lovely, positive, uplifting emotions centered in our heart, which is where they come from, where they belong, what happens is that the field of energy that we're sending out to those around us, whether it's in our home, which is where we need to begin, or in our business, or in our neighborhood, or in our church, or in our wherever we are, our sports arenas, whatever our heart is experiencing is what is going out. And those of you who are in the salon industry, I especially want to make this point that when you're standing behind a guest, or he is in your chair, and you're standing right behind them, your heart, and you can check this out when you have a guest there, your heart is right in alignment with their brain. And has been shown in the scientific research, wonderful laboratories that are happening, that we can indeed affect the brain waves of another simply by pouring out these wonderful electromagnetic charges of positive energy, positive heartfelt energy. And then our health is also affected. The fact that we are allowing all of the systems in our body, not only our heart and our brain, to sync up, but all of the systems, our respiratory system, our reproductive system, our digestive system, our mental, emotional system, all of that, our neurological system, all of them get to be synced up. And the result of that is that we're going to be thinking more clearly. We're going to be able to create beyond what we have been able to create in the past. Our communications are going to be more filled with care and compassion. And thus our relationships are going to be healthier, both in our homes and in our world. And so it's just an amazing thing to me, Andrew, that through this very simple technique of breathing and being grateful, that gratitude seems to be the anchor here, that we can't just think about or visualize what we're grateful for, but we need to generate this feeling, because it is in the feeling where the hormones shift. I know this is a lot of information, but it is so good that we have, that we have this choice, and our body responds immediately. We're going to see it in a moment. Andrew's going to do a demonstration for us, but our bodies can change in the moment. Here's the next thing I want you to know. When we are charged with negative emotion, we are adrenaline, which is the fight or flight chemical, floods our system, and it will stay in the system for a period of time. Actually, 1,400 different biochemical reactions go on in the body when we go off, for whatever reason. And so adrenaline is chief among them. The other hormone, adrenaline, a chemical, the other hormone is called cortisol. And we hear a lot about cortisol, but in this training, we label it the negative emotion hormone. So let's say we're in a negative funk today, and we tell somebody about it, and that sends more cortisol into the system. And the more cortisol, the more easy it is for us to get into this sort of cesspool of negative thinking, negative behavior, negative being, passing it on to everybody around us. 3 feet of our energy is going out. And we call that the vicious cycle. But there's hope.
Yeah.
There's always hope. And on the other side of this equation is a chemical called acetylcholine. And it is the relaxation, low energy, sort of peace out chemical, opposite of adrenaline, that goes into effect when we do our heart breathing and our heart gratitude. And the other hormone that gets to be released is DHEA, which is the positive emotion hormone. And in an instant, when we make that shift from getting out of a negative swirl and make a choice to go to gratitude, maybe not grateful for what's going on. We can't be grateful for the effect of what COVID has done, but we can find something in it. Not grateful for it, but we can find something in it that we can be grateful for. And the minute we do that, DHEA is released in the body, and we call this the virtuous cycle. The more DHEA, the more positive we tend to be. The more positive, the more DHEA. And so it begins this chronic level of DHEA and acetylcholine that keeps us chilled, if you will, even in the most challenging of circumstances. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Word that I've heard before with kind of how the energy can affect each other is entrainment. Is that something that's talked about in Heartmath, entrainment?
Totally.
So talk to us just a little bit about how that energy can actually start to resonate with someone else.
Right. They have done studies there. They've even done studies with one of their kids and his dog, and that the dog was all, nervous and upset. And the boy went to his dog, sat down with him, and the boy started breathing and going to gratitude. And he found this pet simply relaxing out. That is on the animal world. In the human world, Heartmath has also done studies where they put three people around a table, i.e. a business meeting, if you will, and one of the people is coming into the business meeting with coherence. They've done their heart-based breathing, they've done their heart-based feeling, and now they're sitting at a table with three other people, and without saying anything or leading anyone through the coherent, quick coherence that we just learned, the other three people begin to sync up with the one person that has brought the coherence to the party. So I really want us to know how very, I'm going to use the word powerful, but I think more influential we can be. That when we walk into a room, or we walk into our homes, or we walk into any situation and we've done our coherence, that even without speaking, it will do the entrainment that you're talking about. That is, it will sync up with the other's brainwave, with the other's heart rate variability, and those people will feel and will become coherent within that situation. That's how I understand it. But if you have something to add about entrainment, I'd love to hear it.
No, that's a perfect way of explaining it. That study is so spot on. But kind of part of what triggered it for me too was, I just want to bring up this comment from Shirley because it's very appropriate to what's happening in our world right now.
Yeah.
What happened in Minneapolis is terrible, of course. And it's so easy, I think, too, on two different levels. Surely, number one, that entrainment of you have an entire society up there that is in this state of anger and reaction. So, of course, it's easy to find ourselves experiencing those same energies because we are susceptible to that entrainment as well. But I think what's really fantastic is kind of like you just shared with us, is that we can actually be the catalyst to start to shift that in the other direction too. And it's a very conscious thing that we have to do. But I think it's important to know that one person in the room of 30 people can be that force of change and shift because of this principle of entrainment.
Yeah. And Shirley, my heart goes out to you. I was watching a newscast today of your governor and the other leaders that are finding the right path, even through this tragedy. They're finding the next path, the next right thing to do, the next positive step. And that speaks back to what I was just talking about, is that we are not grateful for what happened at all. We do not condone it. What can we find in this situation that we can find resolution and somewhere find gratitude in it all?
Yeah.
So we find that the heart is more than just a pump that is releasing blood, 100,000 gallons of blood a day throughout our systems. Can you imagine that? And it never has to be repaired unless something happens to it and takes it down. But basically, from the minute, I think we're 18 hours old, and the heart begins to do its thing in the womb. And so we have this magnificent machine, and we just think about it keeping us alive. But moreover, it is the very seat of intelligence for us, in that it gives this synchronized wave to the brain, and the brain then responds with clearer thinking. There are just so many things that I wrote down. I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget. And then, Andrew, if we're going to be ready in a minute to do our little experiment, but I just wanted to let you know that connecting with the heart and connecting the heart with the brain, with this beautiful wave that we achieve with our breath, we go from depletion to renewal, from separation to connectedness, bigger picture thinking, higher brain function, increased longevity. Unless something catastrophic happens, we should live a long and healthy life, resilience to adversity. Hello, improved memory. How many of us would love that? Improved problem solving right now, going back into your salons or going into your places of work. We need to improve our problem solving. What is going to be the solution to this ongoing post-COVID life that we're going to be living? increased intuition and creativity, improved job performance, and achievement. We will maintain our composure, we'll improve our family and social life. Oh, there's so many things. Reducing fatigue, improving our coordination, gives us better solutions, the ability to learn, and for your kiddies, when they do get back to school, that they can achieve higher test scores. This is great practice for kids that have test anxiety. They can breathe and go to gratitude before they sit before their test. And it increases our access to intuitive intelligence. Sometimes we just, in our own humanness, can't get to the solution. But this practice, and those of you of faith, if you have this practice plus a little prayer, it really opens the windows to lots of available intelligence that's waiting to be accessed.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready for you.
All right, good. So Andrew is on a program called M-Wave, and it's a ear sensor. Who would have known that you can test your heart rate variability through your ear, but you can. And this is, here we are on the M-Wave. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see this clearly. And what I'm going to do, we're going to turn it on and just see where Andrew is right now. We know that he got up this morning. He knew that this cabin fever production was going on. He had things going on with Samvia and that business, plus his family is there and he's on this property and he probably needed to take care of things. So we're just going to see where his coherence is right now. All right. You see
Slow.
What we have here are these three tubes. One is filled with red, which means Andrew is right now in low coherence at 100%. The second tube would be blue if it comes up, and it would be medium coherence. In other words, there he goes. Are you jumping ahead of me?
No.
This means that his body is shifting from the low coherence, which means some maybe thoughts of anxiety, frustration, anything, busyness, just trying to get things done. And low coherence is where we live a lot of the time. So this is not unusual. He's not weird. This is just basically where we all are. What our goal is in this session, and I'm happy to see that he's got 9% blue and now he's at 55 green, this gorgeous Granny Smith apple green, that he is increasing his coherence level, his coherence percentage. And moreover, you see his heart rate variability is this beautiful, what we call a sinusoidal wave. And that's exactly what we want to see. So this is where he is right now. And this is really pretty good. We could turn this off right now and say, good on you, Andrew. You're coherent.
I fall into it pretty quick. That's kind of proof of that this thing works, because it's almost as soon as I see this screen, I almost automatically just kind of fall into the breathing pattern and stuff. And it shows how quick you can go from that low coherence. And I wasn't even really trying. I found myself kind of already starting to get into that pattern of breathing and everything. But what's cool too is just as you can see kind of what's happening right now too, guys, is I'm starting to get excited again and chatty and talk, and things change so fast. It's super interesting.
It is so interesting. And even if I didn't take you through, we can see exactly that the adrenaline is flowing and it is affecting his heart rate variability. And so now, Andrew, just for the practice of this experiment, I want you to think of a stressor or stressors that you have had within these last 7 weeks. Is there one thing that perpetually has kept you in this realm of stress? And I know you've got your own activities of meditation and so forth, so you probably don't stay there very long. But is there something that you can just think about? You don't even have to tell us, because we know the power of thought also affects this internal structure. And just think about it for, 30 seconds or so.
it's almost hard to keep thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, we can see. All right, now what I want you to do is take 3 of those wonderful, slow, deep breaths through your heart. If you'll image your breath coming in and out of your heart, just as we did at the beginning. And at the end of your 3rd breath, you can breathe normally. And now is the time to generate that sincere feeling of gratitude for someone or somewhere, an experience, an accomplishment, a place in nature, and just dwell there, if you will, for again about 30 to 45 seconds. It's just beautiful. Okay, you can take one last breath, if you will. And as you stop the M wave, we will see frozen in time. Yeah. So I'd like to reach out to our friends, our viewers, and ask, did you see a shift? Did you see all of the changes when he was talking and they were quite high? His heart rate was a little higher and then he began to come down. But then these rugged mountains that we see on the left side of the screen are those areas that he was thinking about this thing that has been his stressor. And then we can see very clearly his 3 long breaths that he took through his heart. And then this wonderful one, again, the sinusoidal wave that came. This is almost perfect, picture perfect, Andrew, to the charts that Heartmath sends us. Mm-hmm. You're really a wonderful example of being able to go into a stressor, go to breath, go to gratitude, and then come into this coherent heart-brain connection. Mm-hmm. Moreover, I'll just bring your attention to the 23%. He went from a 100% low coherence to 23%, or 23% of the time that he was on, which was just over 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. He was in low coherence. 6% of the time, he was in medium coherence, which is that wonderful space between being incoherent and being coherent. And then I think you saw with me that he had up to 60 something in his high coherence. It went down into the 50s. And then when I asked him to go into his gratitude piece, he came back up and ended up at 71% of the time on the M wave that he was coherent. So when we talk about coherence, what we're talking about is the heart intelligence, the heart rate variability, syncing with the brain and the brain's thinking properties, the places in the brain that are about decision making and communication and logic and all of those things. And it has a 3rd brain element where this higher level intuition, this higher level intelligence is also found. So if we were to give Andrew a creative project right now, he is in the zone and he is in his high coherence, and he could tap into this higher level of brain wave activity into the 3rd brain. And it's a beautiful place to get to, and it's a wonderful place to be able to live. And of course, throughout the day, we're human. We're not in heaven yet. It's not a perfect environment. We're going to be exposed to everything that's happening around us. And yet we can be in it, but not be of it, because we have this choice. I remember one time I was in the Newark airport, flying from New York City to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I had a little membership card to the Delta Crown Room. And it had about 2 hours before my flight. So I thought, I'll just go in the Crown Room, and relax and do some work. I walked in and the receptionist at the desk asked to see my Crown card. I gave it to her and she said, "Oh, where are you flying today, Miss Mincey?" And I said, "I'm going to Milwaukee." And she said, "Well, who are you flying?" And I said, "Well, I'm going on Midwest Airlines today." And she looked at me and she said, "Well, you can't come in the Crown Room if you're flying another airline." And it's those moments, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those unexpected, push your button, attitudinal, and I could have gone off. I could have said, "Where is your manager?" Or, "Can you show me in the membership book where it says that I can't, my company pays for this so I can come in and do some work while I'm waiting." I could have gone there. And just saying those words right now, I can feel my heart rate racing, right?
Yeah.
And so instead, and she never even knew this, I stood there, took a breath, found something in the moment that I could be grateful for, let it flood my system, and my whole attitude, my whole being shifted in the moment. And I just took my card back from her and I said, "That's okay. It's okay. I'll just go out and have lunch and wait for my flight. I'll see you next time." Mm-hmm. And it's those kinds of real life situations that I want you to know that this can work for you. It can work when you're laying down to go to sleep at night. It can work first thing in the morning when you open your eyes. But moreover, it works in those little nitty gritty kind of moments when you just scrub the hardwood floors in your house and your husband comes in from playing golf and walks all over the fresh floors.
That's never happened to you, right?
Once. It happened once.
Yeah, it probably never happened again.
No. I hope that you get that it's a powerful experience. And I wanted to give you one more exercise that you can do while we're here.
Please.
I think we have time, don't we? Yeah.
Yes, we have plenty of time. This is kind of perfect timing because that was going to be kind of my next question is what are some of the practical steps people can take to get themselves into these kind of habits?
Right. Well, first of all, is just doing the breathing and gratitude. Mm-hmm. And then this practice we're going to show you or ask you to participate is called freeze frame. And I hope that you have a journal or some paper and a pen around you. Maybe you can grab something really quickly. You just need a little piece of paper. So a little notepad would be fine. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, as I ask Andrew, think of a stressor that is pressing on you right now. It may be a culmination of what you've experienced. It may be looking forward to going back into your routine and your work. It could be something in your family. You might have experienced loss during this time, and you're grieving and sorrowful. And so I just want you to think of that one thing that is creating this stressor in your life, and will you just write it down? It doesn't have to be long, but something very quick but direct. And once you have it written, now I want you to write down what emotions have you reacted to this stressor. with? What buttons have been pushed? How have you reacted? Some of those emotions we talked about earlier, lashing out, anger, fearfulness, depression, rage, disappointment, sadness. You just have to write down a couple. Some of you may have a long list.
Yeah, I was going to say I could probably make a bigger list, so I'm going to keep mine small.
Okay. Now here's where the good stuff comes in.
Yeah.
Keep your pen in your hand, if you will. And again, we're going to go to heart-based breathing and heart-based feeling. So I'm going to lead you through it one more time. Again, if you want to close your eyes or lower your eyelids, put your hands on your thighs and lower your shoulders, just making sure your shoulders are not scrunched up around your ears. Comfortable. There's nobody here but us. And now will you begin? And I'm going to ask you to take 3 of those slower than normal, deeper than normal, whatever is comfortable for you, kind of breaths. At the end of your 3rd breath, continue to breathe normally. And here is where I'm going to ask you to generate a sincere feeling, not just the image, but a feeling of gratitude. It can be different from the one you used before. It can be the same one. Someone, somewhere, an experience, an accomplishment, a place in nature. And allow that feeling of gratitude to pour over your life, both inner and outer, and just sit there until you hear my voice. It will be about 15 to 20 seconds. Our next step is asking yourself a question. What is a more efficient or effective way for me to deal with this stress in my life? What is a more effective or efficient way for me to deal with this stress in my life? You may get an image, a nudge, a word, a phrase, whatever comes up for you. Will you please take your pen and write it on your paper? Some of you have received an intuitive thought, a thought from the divine. Some of you may not have heard or seen or were impressed with anything right now. But I can promise you that as you go back and do your breathing and generate your feeling of gratitude and ask the question, What is a more effective or efficient way for me to deal with this in my life? You will get an answer. And I would invite you just to take one last breath, just to sort of bring us back into this realm. So while for these 7 or 8 weeks, we have been given all these instructions about how to take care of ourselves externally, washing our hands, keeping our hands away from our face, wearing masks, socially distant 6 feet, being isolated and quarantined. All of them were external to keep us safe from the virus invasion. I really wanted to bring some information that I know is the truth. It's scientifically based, it's medically based, it has been proven, it's being used by the NASA astronauts, it's being used for our military to prepare our military for going into their areas of protection and keeping us safe. And when they come back, it has been helpful to help them through their PTSD. It's being used with doctors and hospitals and nurses. Can you imagine all of our medical and our EMT personnel using this method to keep their heart and their brain in sync while they're dealing with caring for the lives of the people who have been affected by the virus? So I just want to present the credibility of Heartmath to you in those realms. And also I wanted to recommend right now, if you Google the Heartmath Experience, the Heartmath Experience, they produced a film at the end of 2019 that takes you through basically what we have gone through today, only in much greater and much more scientific detail. You will see Howard Martin and Deborah Rosman. You will see Dr. Roland McCratty, who is the head scientist of Heartmath. You will hear from people who have used and are using this program. And it's short little segments, like 9 minutes or 11 minutes at a time. You don't have to sit through the whole thing. You can just take it in part. But I really want you to follow up on what we've been able to do today and watch the Heartmath Experience. They was going to charge $29.95 for the film. And then when COVID came through, the Heartmath management team said, you know what? We just want to get this out there. We want to give it for free. So it will cost you nothing. And I promise it will seed for you the things that we've talked about and perhaps make a believer out of you, as it has for me, and I know it has for Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you enjoyed what she did with you guys today, I'd highly encourage you to go back to our archives with Cabin Fever. It's pretty easy to find on the YouTube channel. You can just go into the live videos on the YouTube channel. They're also on the Facebook page. But our very first guest, Dr. Suzanne Henwood, she's one of the people that are kind of the heads of the multiple brain integration techniques group. And she walked us through kind of a similar kind of exercise. So if you enjoyed that exercise with Ann, I'd definitely check that episode out as well. But Ann, is there any kind of final little pieces you want to offer them as far as just kind of taking this and integrating into their lives?
You know, I reflect back on the video I did for Sam and Friends, and I have to say that the word ready, getting ready. Well, how am I going to get ready? Am I ready to re-enter? And I made an acrostic of the word ready. Right. And the R stood for recognize, the E, every, the A, appointment, as a D, divine, Y, yes. Recognize every appointment, whether it's an appointment in your salon or a business appointment you have with your banker or an appointment you have made with your husband, perhaps going out for your first date after everything opens up. Whatever appointment of life you have, recognize every appointment as a divine yes. In other words, wherever you are, whatever you're engaged with right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. And your heart rate variability, your heart emotion is going to flood the areas in which you find yourself standing in a grocery store line, sitting in a pew at church, or wherever you go. Just know that you are beginning a divine yes to be exactly where you are. And it is a divine appointment. So that means we are part of God's work. We are here to create beauty, and we are here to create peace, even in the most difficult of situations. We can do it. We can't do it in our own strength, but we have this connection with the divine who's saying, yes, you can do it. Come on, let's do it together. And that would be my final thought for today.
Beautiful. Well, you definitely touched some people's hearts with this, and there's just, I hope you, because I'm sure you weren't able to watch all the comments come through, but hope you'll take some time afterwards to look at the Facebook and YouTube replay so you can see how much appreciation there is for really what is a huge gift with this process. Thank you so much for taking time to be here on the channel today. And I know Sam would want me to kind of personally thank you from him as well. He definitely thanks you. And next week we'll have a new guest, a new topic, and we'll continue these cabin fever episodes as long as we see that there's the need for cabin fever relief. But just know that we're going to continue to offer this kind of more mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical support to the community moving forward.
Great.
So thank you so much, Ann. We really appreciate you.
God bless.
And thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you next week. You can just stay on, Ann, and I'll talk to you right after.
Alrighty, great. Bye, everybody.